In the shadows of a 15th century Flemish chamber, where the lateral light from a Gothic window softly caresses dense velvet and aged oak, a story is born, one that has defied time as much as oil on panel. Welcome to Hidden Intellects, a sanctuary for curious minds seeking depth at the intersection of psychology, history, and visual aesthetics. Today, we embark on an unprecedented visual and emotional journey, an exploration of the stages of love and human relationships under what we have called the Van Eyck Code. In this video, we don't just analyze the human heart, we do so through an aesthetic that revives the deep chiaroscuro, the hyper-realistic impasto, and the mysticism of the great Flemish masters. If you have ever wondered why the most intense relationships often go from the brightest light to the densest shadows, prepare yourself, because you are about to discover the answer in a high-fidelity cinematic experience. Before we dive into this abyss of rich pigments and universal truths, I invite you to subscribe to Hidden Intellects and turn on the notification bell. By joining our community, you support a project where storytelling meets the technological vanguard. It is essential for you to know that the visions you are about to witness are supported by artificial intelligence, a tool that allows us at Hidden Intellects to expand the boundaries of the imaginable and recreate worlds that previously only lived in museums. However, let us maintain an honest perspective. No matter how astonishing the technical result may be, AI will never compare to real art. It lacks the soul of the master, the sweat upon the canvas, the scent of turpentine, and the divine intention that only a human being can imprint on their work. But here, today, we use this technological echo as a modern paintbrush to bring to life an eternal narrative about relationship psychology and the art of persisting. Imagine that every frame of your life is a panel of Baltic oak wood, a fragment of a reality that begins with two figures, a man and a woman, separated by the emptiness of a shadowed room. This is the beginning of everything, what in psychology we call the stage of limerence, or blind infatuation. Love does not begin with complex words. It begins with an atmosphere, with a heartbeat that the painting captures in a crimson red, a vermilion so intense it seems to pulse upon the wood. In this first chapter of Hidden Intellects, courtship is a dance of light and shadows where everything seems perfect, because we haven't yet learned to look at the details hidden in the dark. Jan van Eyck was the first great master to understand that light does not just illuminate, it defines the truth of things. We see the night offering a botanical flower with scientific precision, while time, represented by a brass clock whose hands spin in a whirlwind of shadows, reminds us that initial passion is as ephemeral as the evening light filtering through a stained glass window. In this infatuation phase, everything is a reflection in a convex mirror, that famous Flemish distortion we see in the Arnolfini portrait, where we only see what we want to see, an idealized version of the other, free of blemishes and cracks. It is the stage of absolute light, the fascination with detail, the awe at the texture of the other's skin. But as the painters we study here at Hidden Intellects know well, without shadow there is no volume, and without volume there is no reality. Time moves forward inevitably, and the candlelight, which once illuminated faces full of wonder, begins to reveal the first imperfections. This is where the stage of evaluation enters. The impasto becomes thicker, more real. Authentic craquelure begins to appear on the surface of the relationship, those tiny lines proving that time is passing and the paint is settling. Psychology teaches us that, after the intoxication of the beginning, raw realism arrives. To understand this transition, we must look at the history of Van Eyck himself. He did not invent oil painting, but he perfected it through the use of glazes, layer upon layer of transparent paint that provided a depth never seen before. Human relationships work the same way. What you see today is the result of accumulated layers of experiences. We observe the lady reading ancient parchments under a freezing lateral light, searching in logic and shared values for what the heart can no longer explain with electrical impulses alone. Storm clouds appear in the landscape glimpsed through the window, a reminder that no refuge, no matter how noble, is impenetrable to a couple's crises. The chiaroscuro becomes deeper, more dramatic. The figures that once sought each other desperately now turn their backs on one another in somber studies, surrounded by a coldness that only aged oil paint can convey. This is where the relationship is truly put to the test. Is this the end, or simply a change in texture? At Hidden Intellects, we believe it is the moment to decide whether to abandon the painting or begin restoring it with the patience of a master restorer. Halfway along our path, we encounter the most difficult stage, the power struggle. It is not an open battlefield, but a narrow, dark hallway. It is a phase of constant negotiation, of clashing egos represented by heavy wooden furniture and iron armor that reflects light in a sharp, almost violent way. We see the construction of stone bridges, the manual effort of the masons of the soul trying to unite what routine and misunderstandings have begun to pull apart. Cohabitation is an exchange of heavy garments. The layers of silk and fur must fall so that real contact, soul to soul, becomes possible. But pride, that dark and hard to erase pigment, sometimes builds brick walls. In this video from Hidden Intellects, we capture that texture of mortar and stone that you can almost feel. The tension is a tightrope they both walk on, while the light of a torch casts elongated shadows that seem to devour hope. It is the moment of conflict, of dialogues in vaulted rooms where words strike like iron hammers on cold metal. It is a necessary stage for the relationship to stop being a museum fantasy and become a solid structure capable of withstanding the weight of real life. If you survive this phase, the painting acquires a technical richness unattainable by beginners. Yet, at the bottom of this chromatic abyss, there is always a gleam of pure gold, a green sprout emerging between the cold tiles of an empty cathedral, illuminated by a sunbeam piercing through the suspended dust. Reconciliation is not an act of magic. It is an act of pure craftsmanship. It is the use of heavy tools to tear down those walls. It is the polishing of a silver mirror to see the other not as an idealization, but as a real human being, with fears and a beauty that only vulnerability and honesty can bestow. As we advance toward maturity, we enter the stage of deep commitment, the anchoring. Mature love is represented here at Hidden Intellects as an iron anchor on a lonely wharf, stable and heavy, immovable against the tides of external chaos and the pressures of modern society. We see the couple aging, their faces marked by time, with a historical fidelity that pays homage to old age, not as a decay of the flesh, but as a triumph of the spirit over matter. The lace of their clothing is now more intricate, reflecting the complexity of the years lived, and their hands are intertwined with a strength that the pigment seals forever on the oak panel. This is the true reward for those who persisted through the chiaroscuro of life. The Van Eyck Code teaches us that beauty is not found in the perfection of the initial stroke, but in the depth of the accumulated layers. Every argument overcome, every forgiveness granted, and every sacrifice shared is a transparent oil glaze that adds richness to the final result. It is like the famous Adoration of the Mystic Lamb, a work composed of multiple panels that form a glorious whole. True love is a painting that is never finished, but with every passing decade, it gains an incalculable value that no technology, no matter how advanced, could ever replicate, because it is born from sacrifice and the conscious choice to stay when the light fades. Here at Hidden Intellects, we value that human persistence above any algorithm. Every scene you have seen in this experience is a reminder that relationships require infinite patience. You must let the oil dry. You must know when to apply a strong color and when to let the shadow speak for itself. At the end of this journey, we close the heavy leather book with metal clasps, a story that has been visualized with technology, but that only you, as a spectator with a soul and conscience, can give complete meaning to. AI has given us the shapes and textures of the 15th century, but the emotional meaning is the exclusive property of your intellect. Do not forget that even though we live in the era of the digital, the instantaneous, and the disposable, what truly matters remains analog. The brush of a hand, the shared silence in front of the fire, and the decision of two people to be a single canvas facing the world. If this visual tale has moved you, if you have found fragments of your own life in these panels of lateral light and dense shadows, I ask that you share this content with someone who might need light in their own storm. Before we say goodbye, we want to open the debate in our community. In what stage of the painting do you feel your relationship is today? Are you in the vibrant light of the beginning, or are you working on restoring a stone bridge? Tell us your experience in the comments. At Hidden Intellects, we read them all, and we love learning from your stories. Subscribe to continue exploring these intersections where psychology, art, and technology hold hands. Thank you for joining us until this last breath of light. Always remember, love is the most difficult art to master, and you are the only master capable of bringing your own destiny to life. See you in the next story, here on Hidden Intellects.